Hey there, creatives. Welcome back to The Story Scene. I'm Shannon, and this is the place where we come together to help you write bold, brilliant, and beautiful stories and share them with the world. And I'm so excited to talk to you today about the process of building a development slate. We're going to talk about what it is, why you should have one, and how to get started with a very simple Google Docs template that I've designed, and I'm going to walk you through that template. And the link to access that Google Doc template is in the description box below. So let's get started. So the very first question that you're probably asking yourself is, what is a development slate? I first heard the term from Stephanie Palmer, who is the author of a book called Good in a Room, and she is the former director of creative affairs at MGM Studios. She talks about development slate in very simple terms. It is a list of projects that you are currently working on or have completed, and it contains all of the information that you would need to be able to speak coherently about that project to people who are making decisions about whether or not to buy your project. Okay, so that in a nutshell is what a development slate is. It is an organized list of all of your projects in their various stages of development that contains all of the necessary information about those projects for you to speak coherently about them to decision-making people. So then the second question that comes up after that is, why do I need one, right? Why would I need a development slate? Can I just keep track of things in Evernote or just look through whatever I have in my recently opened files in Final Draft? Like, what's the advantage of doing this? The advantage is that it keeps all of the information that you need in one place, where a script is not going to have that information as part of the document, right? Your script's not going to contain information like what genre it is, like what are the comps for that particular project? Where is it being shopped around if you have somebody shopping it around? Where have you pitched it? Who's taken a look at it? What feedback have you gotten, right? That kind of information is not going to be present in the script document itself. So the development slate gives you a place, a convenient way to store and navigate all of that relevant information for each one of your projects. And you'll see in the template that I walk you through, and again, you can get your own copy of that in the description box. Basically, it is just an easy to navigate place to keep all of that information. It really does help you not only when you get asked questions about your work. It's a very easy place to kind of go if you're prepping for a meeting. You can kind of review your notes. You know exactly what to say. You have the premise line right there. You have all of the relevant information that you would need. So it makes meeting prep really easy. But it also, if you're a new and emerging screenwriter, it really does help you to start thinking about your project in marketing terms. And I think that that's a really important skill. It helps you to understand how to think about where your project is positioned in the market. It helps you to think about how it's positioned as far as the financials are concerned. You may not have any idea like how much the script is actually going to cost, but you can look at other projects that are similar and ballpark it. So it's just a really helpful way for you to start thinking about your work, not only in terms of your creative enterprise, but also in terms of the marketing side of it, which is a huge part of it. And I think a lot of writers, I think we come into it just thinking like, I'm going to tell the story I want to tell and the story I need to tell. But there are so many decisions that go into the story in terms of how many locations you have, how much special effects you put in, how many characters you have, right? All of those decisions are really financial decisions. And until you kind of start putting those things together of like, I'm thinking about this not just in terms of the story I want to tell, but also in terms of the likelihood that someone might risk that kind of money on me as a new and emerging writer, it can make a huge difference. In the last couple of videos, we've been talking about planning your creative year, thinking about what your career trajectory looks like. And the development slate is the place to go, where you list out your projects, you list out all your ideas and concepts, and you can kind of choose from that list based on your career goals for the next 12 months, the next 3 years, the next 5 years. you can start to choose those ideas that you feel like are going to position you best. So it really does help in that respect also for you to make smart and informed decisions about the projects that you're choosing to work on. So without further ado, let's get into the template. I'm going to walk you through how you can set up your very own development slate right in Google Docs. So let's go.
Okay, so here we are inside of the Google Doc development slate template. The very first thing that we're going to observe here is that we have our table of contents. And this is what makes this such a neat document to work with, because all of this is clickable, right? And it will take you to the location in the document where that is, right? Okay, so we can just navigate straight to whatever we need. And this is an automatically populated thing. So when we go down, I'll show you how you can add additional titles and have it show up here in your table of contents. So as we come through here, you'll notice that the very first category that I have here is completed projects. And this section here that is in orange is where you can insert whatever you want to as you kind of decide what categories you want to track. So for example, if I were going to do this, I might have a separate category for each one of the mediums that I work in. So completed projects in the short story category, novel projects, screenplay projects. And the nice thing is that you can decide to have your document taxonomy be as complicated or as little complicated as you want. So if you want to just track everything and just note in the actual notes to the project itself what medium it is, you are more than welcome to do that. This is completely up to you. It is fully customizable to whatever it is that you want. The key here though is if you want anything to show up in the table of contents, you're going to need to add things using your heading. Okay, so for example, these large categories here, these top level categories are all heading 1. If you notice that the titles, these are heading 2, okay? And if you use the headings to add a title, then it will show up in your table of contents, okay? So that's what we want. So as I said, you can customize this however you want to. And if you're just starting out and you only have a couple of projects, no worries, right? That's going to continue to expand. That's the beauty of this, is it can grow with you. Okay, so this is my completed projects. And you'll notice under each title, this is where you could write in your genre. This is where you would put in your premise line, any comps that you know of, the budget range, as we talked about in the previous segment, what the submission status is, if it's gotten any awards or been recognized, what kind of feedback have you gotten on it, and then I left just a space here for any other notes that you might have on this. So you can, as I said, choose to customize this however you want to, but that's there for you. Okay, so these are just some of the things that you might want to track inside of this document. The second major category here is the draft category. So I consider a completed project one that has gone through all rounds of feedback and is ready to be taken out. So this is where, you know, you either have gotten the okay and your representation is taking it out for you, or you are starting to pitch this project yourself through services like Stage 32, or you're submitting to contests. That's what I count as a completed project. It has made it all the way through all the rounds of feedback that you want, and you are starting to send it out in whatever way you're sending it out. Drafts are therefore anything that's in progress. Okay, so this is something that you are actively working on, and you, again, can customize this however you want. You can divide this up by medium, by genre, by any other way you want to. I have some of the same categories that you're tracking in the drafts category: genre, premise line, comps, stage of development. Now, the stage of development is a little bit different. This now is this a first draft? Is it a second draft? How many rounds of feedback has this gone through? That's the place where you're going to track how close this thing is to being completed. Is it only an outline phase, right? So make a note of where this project is as far as being developed. And of course, a catch-all, any additional notes you might have on the project. And then finally, the last category that I have listed here are your concepts. Um, this is a great place just to keep a running list of all of the ideas that you come up with. I didn't add in here, and I'm going to put in this category here for a premise line, and I'm just going to go ahead and pop that in down the line here for your 3 potential titles. Okay, so as you're building out your concepts, it's really useful to start with your premise line, right? That should be kind of the beginning stage of all of this. And again, you can decide how you want to sort this. You can have different categories for different genres, different categories for different mediums. You know, you decide how you want to divide this up, but it's just a great place, again, to track all of your different ideas. The last category that I have on the slate here is a place where you can track some of the big ideas or themes or types of characters that you particularly like to write. And you'll see here in orange, I'm kind of giving you some question prompts. What kinds of stories do you like to tell? What questions are you trying to answer in your work? What types of characters do you like to write? And the reason why this is really helpful is because, you know, if you're in a situation where you're asked to kind of speak about your work, it's really helpful for you to be able to articulate what kinds of things you really like to write. Also, if you're thinking about the possibility of staffing, um, why would you be a good fit for a particular show? Why would you be a good fit for a particular type of project? And this is the place where you can track the kinds of things that you tend to enjoy working on, things that you have experience with. Again, this is just part of your portfolio. It's part of your, like, how your life and your stories intersect. And so I really like to keep a running list of these big ideas, themes, characters, because again, it helps to give people who are trying to market you the sort of tools that they need to be able to do that. So that, in a nutshell, is the development slate. And this template, as I've said, the link to this is available. And so you would just come, you know, if you get the link, you'll just make a copy of this document, and then, you know, it'll go into your own Google Drive, and you can just, you know, do whatever to customize this to your own project portfolio at this point. But this is a really great place. I recommend, again, like I said, either updating this monthly or updating it quarterly. Just sort of add it to your calendar as something that you do as you kind of close out each month or close out each quarter. It's just to make sure that this is kept up to date so that it really can do the work for you.
So I really hope that you found this helpful today and that the Development Slate document is a good start to getting your writing organized as we kick off a brand new year. So stay tuned for the rest of this month. We are going to be talking about various ways of organizing your writing projects. We're going to talk about your writing notebook, your writing sessions, and some various other things that you might want to tweak as far as getting organized and getting more productive. So stay tuned for those. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can be notified when the new videos go up. And until next time, I hope you have a great creative writing week. Take care.